All right, fellas, I've got Ben Golden on the show today. What's up, Ben?
Hello, hello. What's going on?
Ben, let's just give like a 60-second, uh, a little bit about your family, where you live, how many kids, how long you've been together with your wife, etc.
Oh yeah, give it a short version. So, married almost 5 years now. My beautiful wife, Lauren. The funny story there is, I broke through the friend zone. We were friends for like 6, 8 years. So I'm one of the guys that made it out. It just
Nice.
took, it just took asking if she wanted to go to Italy. So there's a little bit of a hook there, but it worked. So been together almost 5 years now, or married 5 years. We have one daughter, so I'm more of a recent dad, you could say. So one daughter, Annabelle, she's about a year and a half old. Uh, Absolutely amazing. So here out of Houston for now. I'm actually headed y'all. We're headed y'all's direction. We'll be over hopefully in the Dripping Springs area come May, June. So
Dude, that's awesome. Well,
mhm.
it's gonna be good to have you. Ben, talk to us a little bit about your childhood. What was that like?
Oh man, loaded, wonderful loaded question. And I loved and hated that you sent some of these over beforehand. Mainly because I got a chance to look at them and understand it, but then I got the time to overanalyze it, right? Like all
Yeah.
things. But now the I'm about as average country kid as you can get. To grow up in a small town north of Dallas. Give you an example, like the town I lived in was 200 people or so. To me, it was normal. I just took the bus over the town over to go to school. Uh, but like I used to ride my lawnmower into town to the one feed store so I could get a Dr. Pepper. So I mean,
It's a great
it was the
visual, man.
best.
I think we should
Exactly.
use that on the graphic for the show.
So yeah, yeah, growing up, it was out there. We grew up on what I called my parents' hobby farm. There was always something going on between cows and horses and chickens. You never messed with mom's chickens, that kind of thing. Otherwise, that's kind of where we grew up. My my dad was a cop for 25 years. That was, I guess, you call his day job, and he worked two or three other jobs as he was going into this. Um, So it's like he did police work all day, and then turn around and go do security work. And there was absolutely nothing like seeing him come into the house in like full uniform or something like that. And you're just like, wow, that's
Mm.
impressive. But it was also the nights that we got to see him come home, right? Because it was always he would go to, again, do his day job and go work security somewhere. And that was his first or second, and then possibly third gig that he did that day. So a lot of times it was dad was up and out early in the morning, then he was back late in the evening. But it was, again, so impressive to see him come back when he's full uniform or something like that. Let alone seeing him come to like uh, your parents' work day at school. He'd come in and like SWAT commander kind of stuff, and it was like that was the best thing ever.
Dude, I get it. My dad was captain, Navy captain, and so when he would come home, he would be in uniform most nights.
Yep. But yeah, it's between he did all the cop and police stuff. My mom was just as impressive. I think it's one of those little things. I learned one of the things I learned on Front Row Dads, the little side stories, right? Kids spell love, Time. And so I'd always wonder, like, hey, why aren't my parents making my football games? Why didn't they make all of my football games? That kind of stuff. And I'm sure they made plenty of them. Well, my mom, she ran a construction company. And when I say she ran a construction company, I think she got laid off when I was really young. And then she took our farm truck as the first gig to go pick up trash around a construction site and built that into this construction company that runs landscaping, irrigation, masonry, everything else. So you've got this mom that's run a construction company, this fierce, loving woman, and then the cop for a dad of 25 years. And so I think work ethic was always something that was kind of in the forefront at the house.
Mm. What did you long for as a kid that you didn't have? I mean, you alluded to it just now a little bit. Maybe like they were working a lot, and maybe you were missing them at a couple games. But what else do you long for?
Oh, that's a tough one. I mean, it's a scenario, but it's so much easier to look back on it now, right? Versus when you were a kid and you're like, again, but it may make every football game. Um, and so maybe it was that at the time, but but looking back on it now, it's one of those, is like, I am so, like, me just balancing my one daughter and my career and what I want to do with my life and our life as a family, to look back and see what they were able to do by starting their own company, working two
Mhm.
or three jobs, whatever it was, living out in the country. And so my dad's, police office was 45 minutes into town. So for them still to be able to come back and make those football games and stuff when they did, and balance all of that, is just beyond impressive to me.
Yeah. You feel your parents have just become more impressive over time. The
Oh
older
my
you
gosh.
get, the more you understand.
Yeah. Like when you're growing up, you're like, oh, you silly parents, you don't know anything.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
37, calling my dad, be like, how do you handle this? Like, what is going on right now?
Yeah. I hear you. Talk to us about right now. What's a win for you right now as a family man? What's going great in your world today?
Yeah. Again, Annabelle is a year and a half, and I think I'm in this phase of life where in my perspective, I see wins almost every single day, because it's something new with her every single day. She bit into a strawberry. Oh my God, best day ever, right? I mean, we pull out the banana for breakfast. Oh, best day ever. There's the banana, right? I mean, it's stuff like that. I think one of my favorite, and something I'm never gonna forget, is she's at that age now where she's starting to do some of the animal sounds. And we went to the zoo the other day, and been to the zoo before, mainly an activity, right? You're buying time, you're entertaining, that kind of stuff. Well, we went to see the elephants, and I used my arm as the trunk, and she's like, "Brr," or whatever sound an elephant makes, and then she did it back, and she's like pointing at the elephants, going, "These things are huge, right?" And
Yeah.
she's doing the little arm motion as a 1.5-year old, and just having the best day ever.
Yeah.
To me, those little wins are constantly happening right now, and I love it. It's absolutely
Mhm.
amazing.
What's kicking your butt?
Um, oh, in in typical front row dads fashion, I guess you could you say, I guess, trying to check the armor at the door. It's always, what's the plan in life, right? It's the easy question, right? What's the plan in life for myself and my family? It's kicking my butt to know, like, I do fairly well. Work for a software company here in Houston. My wife works remote. Again, I do fairly well. But that's just that's the paycheck that could technically stop at any time, right? So in my head, it's this constant drive to figure out, if something were to happen to me, what would life be like for them next? Uh, what would I leave them with? I guess this is our wealth, but more so legacy pillar, right? The day my dad dropped me off for college, he said something to me that, one, I'll never forget, but it's one of those things that I have been able to apply in so many different parts of my life, which was, I went to college at Texas A&M. The day he dropped me off, he said, A&M will be, or A&M has been here long before you. A&M will be here long after you leave. What are you going to do with your time here, and how will people remember you when your time here is?
Mhm.
And I've tried to, at first I was a little, teenager going, yeah, okay, cool, dad, thanks. And then as college went on, I was like, holy crap, college is finishing. How are people going to remember me? And I tried to apply that to my career. Uh, and now for the first time ever, I'm applying it to my family. And it is one of the scariest things ever. If something were to
Mhm.
happen to me tomorrow, how is my family going to remember me? Right. And what am I going to leave them with? Uh, so yeah, it's,
How do
yeah,
you
it's the
think they
easy
would
question.
remember you now?
Um, yeah, through all the pictures and everything. So wow, that's a tough question. Um, through all the pictures and everything, all the videos that they're trying to take, um, uh, and the person or the dad that's always trying to be there. Joined front row dads to, the day I realized I was a dad, I'm holding my 6-week old baby and going, I have no idea what I'm doing. Like, what kind of dad advice things are out there? And then I knew a couple of guys that were members, so I started listening to the podcast and everything, and lo and behold, I'm here, kind of trying to dive head first. So hopefully it's the dad that's trying, right? Like, I want to be a better dad. I want to figure this stuff out, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. I don't know if you know this, but Tatiana is in Peru. Did you know that?
No.
She's there right now. She's on day 19 of 60 days in
Oh, wow.
Peru, living in a little village outside of a city, probably called a city, Iquitos. She's in
Yep.
the Amazon. Like she's has to walk 45 minutes to get a cell phone signal that barely works where we can connect. And the reason I share that is that today we were talking and we were reminiscing on the last 17 years. So she's in tears, she's crying, miss you so much. Sorry for the times that I've treated you terrible.
Ugh.
I told her that I had this realization this morning that I used to think I was mad at her. It's like, I'm mad at you because I feel like I can't be the best version of myself sometimes around you. But really what it is that you are calling up my highest standard. And I'm really mad at myself because I'm not at the level that I want to be at. And you are seeing this man inside me that I know is there, but I have not yet evolved to. You're seeing the best of me. So I used to get angry at her, but I was really angry at myself that I hadn't evolved to the man I wanted to be. And we were just appreciating each other for being there during the times that we were trying our best, but we were not at the level that we wanted to be at in whatever capacity, as a parent, as a spouse, as a provider, as a whatever you want to fill in the blank. It's like why I wanted to share that with you right now, Ben, is that when you talked about being a guy who tried, I literally uttered those words to Tatiana hours ago where I was like, I just also have compassion for myself over the past 17 years being with her, because it's like, I know I tried. When I look at pictures of Tiger when he was 1 or 5 or 9 or now 13, all of those I have regrets with. I have like, oh, I could have done a better job there. I could have done this differently. I could have, but at the same time, I know in my heart that I did the best I could in that moment with what I had. Like I was trying, I was failing a lot, but I was trying.
Yeah.
How do you deal, man, with your own, what you perceive as failures, maybe, or whatever word you want to use there to describe a setback, a regret, right? Something you knew you could have done better. You didn't optimize there when you wanted to, but how do you deal with that personally? How do you repair, resolve with yourself?
Poorly, probably.
That's where it all begins, man. Well said, Ben. Thank you for being honest.
Yeah. Poorly is probably the starting word. Oh my gosh, I can just picture my wife watching this and laughing right now. No, it's I guess self-reflection on some of that stuff is something I've absolutely been working on, and like some of the front row dads, like, oh my gosh, that in-person retreat was so eye-opening. And so like the self-reflection on how I've handled scenarios and everything, it's something I planned and I want to work on. Now I do it from a professional standpoint all the time, right? We have feedback loops at the office, and we improve constantly at stuff at the office. And I have almost never done that from a personal perspective. So something I certainly want to work on.
I want to take a second though and just let that settle, because sometimes we think we need the answer, but really we just need to be working on it or in it. We value resolution. We value results. We value conclusions. Like, did you finish the marathon? Right. Type of thing. Like, and at the same time, so much of the growth is in the process, right? Like you're in the process of figuring that out. And I think that's the example we're after. Not that you've got the framework. You're like, guys, here's 7-part framework to how right. We don't have that yet, maybe, but you're in process.
Yeah, I guess I grew up with this saying of, all right, you don't have problems, there's an opportunity here, right? But to me, I'm like, okay, cool. There's a problem, and somebody keeps complaining about the problem, and I'm sitting here like, what are you going to do about it? So I grew up with this context of what are you going to do about it? Like just action, turn through it, whatever it is. Yes, there are failures. Cool, get up, do it again. Right, get up, do it again. And so it's like taking the time to step back and saying, all right, let's review this, let's absorb it, let's be
Mm.
one with it. Right. Uh, I, I'll tell you right now, we started a home services company 2 years ago. It's a franchise opportunity. Didn't go the way we wanted to go. Ended up we got it up to a nice revenue number, right? Ended up selling it. So it was a successful sale from that perspective, but we took a big hit on it, personally. And so to me, that was one of the biggest
What do you mean you took a hit?
financially.
Okay.
We took a big financial hit on it,
Yeah.
and it was one of those scenarios where my identity has always been my success at my work ethic and my success at business. And that was an absolute failure for me. And more so, it was a failure because my wife and I went in it together. And that was the first time we had done something like that together. And so for my wife to see what looked like me as a failure, or like how I perceived it, was just devastating. Um, but but that's one of the things we're kind of overcoming now is it's so that back to that saying, what are you going to do about it? We've got a plan in place. We're working on it. We've moved on to the next thing. We're rebuilding per se. Again, still doing fairly well. Both have fantastic day jobs, but we're not where we want to be. Not where I want to be for my family. That kind of thing. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that tied back to your question, but that's it. Times what's the weight happening right now? Where do I want to take my family? Where do I want to be? That's all in my head.
Those questions are at the core of why Front Row Dads was born, like why this community came to be. Back in 2016, a bunch of guys who were like, we need to spend more time thinking about this. We're spending a lot of time thinking about business. And that's great. We love business. We want to talk about business. There's nothing wrong with that. It just becomes burdensome if it's the only thing we talk about. So where do we want to be with our families? Where are we now? How are we going to close that gap? How are we going to get there? When you think about your time with Front Row Dads, which has been how long, by the way? How long have you been in the community?
I officially only 3 months now, but
Yeah.
I came to that December retreat, and it was going to be the test drive on, hey, do I want to hang out with these folks? Is it the real deal? And I was texting my wife in the middle of it, going, "I'm joining. Just letting you know it's happening. Like this is it. These are my
Yeah.
guys, right?"
Let's take this then in two parts. What was it about that event? And we're talking about an event, by the way, for anybody listening. Front Row Dad Live will happen again in December. We just signed our contract. That'll be here in Austin. And this was your first experience, Ben. That was our first
Yeah.
event open to the public. We had already done about 13 of these other events that were kind of curated from our internal group, but then we opened the doors, we let other guys come. And what was your experience like at that event? I know you talked a little bit about it, so
Yeah.
maybe just expand on what you already shared.
Now it's getting in a room of guys, and I'll just say this ties into why did I join, right? But it's getting in the same room with a bunch of guys that are not just trying to be better people, but they're trying to be better dads. I think that's just one of the most selfless things, is that you're trying to do this for your family so that they can grow up as best possible, right? But so we're all trying to figure it out together. And we were in that room with what I consider myself as the youngest dad there. I think Annabelle was probably 8 months or maybe a year at the time. And there was another guy in there that had a 6-week-old. I don't know how he got out of a house for that, but he was there with a 6-week-old. And then there was a couple of granddads there. So you have this spectrum of knowledge of dads that have seen scenarios, been through scenarios. And I mean, that alone was worth the time to be around these folks that we're all, again, all trying to figure it out together. But some people have already gone through those scenarios, right? They've already faced those problems before. And everybody showed up with the attitude of giving. And it was one of those things where like everybody checked the armor at the door. Everybody was there, was vulnerable to talk about scenarios, was excited to be a part of this part of these conversations. And I'd never been a part of something like that.
'Cause. Yeah. And what has been your experience with the community? 'Cause. I know you talked a little bit about it. So what has been your experience with the community You were there, you're halfway through the event, you're texting your wife, I'm joining, and now you're a part of it, you're in it, you're, you have the opportunity to jump on Zoom calls with these guys and these different types of gatherings, whether they're digital threads like our Telegram groups, etc.
Mhm.
Where have you found continued value? Where have you been able to offer? Where have you been able to receive? What has the group been like for you?
Uh, I think I've been receiving a lot more than I've been giving lately. I'm still kind of in that absorption mode of all the different avenues that you can find other dads. So having our first band meeting tomorrow in Austin. So I'm
Awesome.
excited to kind of join that. So I'll get ramped up into that side of it. I do want to find more opportunities where I can give, but I think I am more on the receiving side right now. Which is okay. I mean, I'm seeing the light shine in some of these other guys. They're like, hey, let me tell you a story. Let me tell you about this, right? And they get to share. So like, I do like to see that excitement in them, and everybody's so willing to share on stuff, and it's fantastic. But yeah, no, as far as the group in general, I'm excited to get into the band setup again. We're going to start that tomorrow. But being a part of the other online summits, there's always something going on that we can participate in there. But I've given a couple of the guys a call just by going through the member directory and just give them a call and saying, hey, I heard your questions on the summit, or I heard your questions on this other call. I just wanted to thank you for asking those because I was thinking it and just didn't ask it, right? And
Yeah,
so, I mean, it's stuff like that. And I've built relationships with some of the guys outside of the call.
it's awesome, man. Well, I'm really glad you're a part of it. Um, we intentionally put this question last because again, we want to prioritize our family overall. So, but not to stay away
Yep.
from the conversation of business because we also love that. So, what is
Yep.
it that you're doing right now professionally to provide for your family? And I'll throw a little caveat to that question, which is, do you think you'll keep doing that? Is there other things you want to do? Maybe a tough
Oh, yeah.
question to answer, but feel free to take it where you want.
Definitely. No, so today I work for a software company here out of Houston. It's an energy software company. Been doing that for 15 years, and absolutely love it. To me, there's always something about uh, watching an engaged and empowered team. It's like seeing like the smoothest of symphonies, right? It's everybody that is working in unison to produce that piece or to offer a better service to your client, right? And to me, I love the technology side and I love the people side of it, and so I absolutely love the software space. Um, but it goes back to, hey, that's just a paycheck, right? I'm looking to build something long term for my family. So I do I do see myself continuing on this space because I absolutely love the software side, but I'm looking to build up something else as well.
Mm-hmm.
Be it I've jumped in with Mike Wagner, another Odad's guy, right, on the self storage side of things. My wife and I are headlong into that, looking for our first storage facility. So we're looking to either build up the real estate side while I'm keeping my eye out for another business to either start or purchase. So I want to continue down the day job because I absolutely love it and I love the people. But I'm also looking to build something for my family.
Have you also been introduced to Ryan Snow?
Have not.
So Ryan's in our group. I've known Ryan for, good Lord, 25 years now. And Ryan and I go way, way back. His business is with Cody Sanchez, and it was called Unconventional Acquisitions, which may still be the name of it. But what they do is
Mm-hmm.
they teach people how to look for and then buy businesses.
Awesome.
He'd be a great guy to connect with.
No, definitely.
Yeah, so you'll find him in the member directory also.
Well, he's gonna get a call. So
Yeah, very cool, man. And he makes it down to Austin, and when he does, he comes and stays here. And again, just a great, great guy. We've done all sorts of work together over the years, and just a solid human. Ben, I want to thank you, man, for taking a few minutes to drop in with me here and just explore all these different parts of our very complicated and beautiful lives, from your childhood to your family and what's working and what isn't, and why you're a part of this community. And then also, how you're thinking about, providing for your family. And one thing I want to reflect to you is that it doesn't take long in spending time with you to know that one of the things that people will always remember about you is like, you're a good human. Like you can tell, like, dude, your heart is good. Your soul is inspiring because you're trying and and you're doing more than just trying. You're doing it. Like you're showing up, man. You're in it. You're engaging with the process. And that to me is the most important part. It's not about, um, you know, our achievements are fun to look at sometimes, but I realize at 47 years old now with a 13-year-old and an 8-year-old and looking at my life and everybody else's lives around me, I'm far more impressed by the process that somebody is in any given moment. I think when I was younger, I was very attracted to what somebody achieved because I wanted to achieve so many things. And so I was like, the science of achievement called to me. And now it's the purpose of process that calls to me, you know, and being in that and honoring that and seeing all of that which lives within that, the dark and the light. And you bring a lot of truth, not that you have found the truth, but your truth you bring to the table. And the more guys that I can surround myself with that are like that is, if my life is better. So dude, you're the type of person that I wanted to build this with and for. And I'm grateful that you're here, man. And I look forward to many more years of building with you and seeing your family grow and having you receive from the group, but then also, you know, how you'll pour back into the group. Because we all go through seasons, you know, we all go through seasons, and that's what's supposed to happen. So I'm grateful that you're here.
Thank you so much for this opportunity, but more so, one, thank you for your words. It's greatly appreciated. But thank you so much for what you've built here. You're making a difference, and I just want you to know that. So thank you.
Thanks, man. I feel that. And there's two things I'm certain of, and I hope people hear me say this a lot. One, Front Row Dads will be thousands of members all over the world. I'm certain of that. And the second thing is I'm certain it won't be just because of me. It's going to be because of this incredible community. And I see it now. Yeah. Most of the amazing stuff that's happening in this community has nothing to do with me. It has to do with the amazing guys and how they're showing up and how they're contributing to each other, and the team that's, you know, Rachel and Sarah and Emma and Tanya and all that crew that's building. It's all the other people that show up and speak at Front Row Dad Live and bring their resources, and all the podcast guests that we've had on the show. Like it is such a massive collaboration of people who believe in being family men with businesses. So excited to see what happens as we continue to grow together. So maybe you'll be part of our software development as the tech side of things as it grows with Front Row Dads. Maybe that's it. But thank you, Ben. This has been awesome, buddy.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.